here's the thing about Better Call Saul. They fucking did it to us again. Mm-hmm. This is a show about a bad guy. Kim has never not been who she is. She's one of the most brilliantly, sharply drawn characters in recent memory on television. And we, as either bad TV fans or Breaking Bad TV fans, spent a large portion of the last 6+ years, 7 years now, anticipating a gruesome end for this character. Something terrible would happen. She would be pushed too far, or something would catch up to her. But Kim is a good person who has had a strong moral compass even when she has deviated from it in her life. And I watched this episode and I'm like, this is always where it was going. This is always where it needed to go. And I love that feeling. I love that I was wrong about it. And I love that I missed it completely, that we didn't even take a moment to consider that as an option over the last few years. At least I don't think I did. I don't think either of us did on this pod. Because here's the thing about Better Call Saul. They fucking did it to us again. Mm-hmm. This is a show about a bad guy. It's a show about a bad guy. And they changed the timing and they changed the narrative. And we met someone who we thought was shallow and they made him deep. That's what the project of the show was. But the depth doesn't always mean you find gold. It just means you follow you find a hollow place that can't be filled, that someone is always going to try to fill. And I just feel really worked up, honestly, about the artistry at play here, because not just because I didn't see it coming, because who am I, but I feel like many people in the audience kind of forgot. And at times during the last few years, we've been, we've either discussed at arm's length or maybe poked holes in the idea that Peter Gould and Vince Gilligan and their crew were considering actively Better Call Saul as as a corrective in some ways to some of the issues with Breaking Bad. Which, as discussed by us even as recently as the other week, kind of had it both ways in its ending. It gave the moral ending in Granite State.
Felina got to kind of make up for everything. His family got paid off. His best friend or his surrogate son, he saved him.
Yep.
There was a feeling that he, even if he wasn't a good guy, made up for a lot of his wrongdoings.
That he made up for it. That it was somehow worth it, maybe if you squint and forget about Hank or whatever, right? That somehow that whole calculus worked. We're not getting that here. And what was so brilliant about this episode was the way that it kept jumping tracks. Starting with Saul anticipating seeing Kim for what, might be the very last time. Letting the Kim portion play out. Returning to that Saul scene. And you can see in that moment when the road permanently divides.
Yeah.
That and in a very human, relatable way. I mean, both of us, I'm sure, people listening, whether it's not necessarily over a divorce settlement, but there have been moments when you've reached the end of something with someone and you're never going to agree on the terms of it. And you're going to go, and in this case, we saw the trauma, we saw the breaking point, and we now understand why Saul is the way he is. He can't go there and deal with it, and she can't live with it. So what do they have to say across that table? I mean, it was devastating, it was powerful.
Did you get the impression when she's in the office in color and she's seeing that office, I guess, for the first time?
Yeah.
That they had much communication in between the point where she had left him and this divorce being settled?
No, I think intentionally no. I think she has laid pretty clear boundaries and continue to, in the other points in the episode as well. It was so strong and powerful, and then we got to run it back and talk about the Florida stuff, but it was so strong and powerful that the cross with Jesse, which you guys know, I'm generally not allergic to, but I get a little itchy. I don't know if we need it always, but I thought this was a really nice grace note because it did sort of square the circle of yes, Kim existed in this universe. Yes, there was a moment. The guy who doesn't do paperwork is Emilio, who is soon to be dissolved in the bathtub. Right. So now we can kind of
there
get
were a couple of good callbacks
to
Bad and to Saul, Victor St. Clair is an alias that Jimmy uses in the second season. That's when she's that's when she says her name is Giselle. Their brother and sister who are con. It's not dissimilar to the con that Jeff and Gene were running on guys in Omaha. why don't we go through the episode sort of beat by beat? So obviously I was asking you about whether or not you felt like they had much interaction in between Kim leaving and her coming into the office. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of wet eyes. There is that like one moment of kind of humanity in Saul before Kim walks in. But obviously they have that pretty hostile separation.
Hostile on his side.
Hostile on his side. I mean, he's pretty much just like have a good life or whatever. But you know, for the most part,
he's fully in character. I mean, it's the most devastating use of the Saul character that we've seen.
Yeah,
you know, but to see him do it to her.
So Kim has this life working for a sprinkler company. I found those scenes to be the other side of the coin of the way that Saul has been presented this entire time, where they have sort of really relished in these montages and in these process-oriented episodes. And this is kind of like what happens if you apply those outside of the realm of like cartels and lawyers. And it's just like, this is what Better Call Saul would be like if it was just about this person who's miserable but is going about her life in a Florida sprinkler company. Did you think that she was punishing herself?
Yes. By the way, no character has ever been devoted to oral hygiene like Kim.
It's great that she's stuck with that routine. Yeah.
Incredible moment. Just once again, brushing those teeth. Yes. I mean, I think that, again, we've spent a lot of time with her. She is an incredibly rigorous person, disciplined person. And you don't build those walls around yourself without intention. You know, she didn't slide into this. She is participating in it. You know, she even brings up the Miracle Whip thing. You know, she is engaged in the commerce of this particularly small society, right? Like, she has chosen this dude to sleep with and watch The Amazing Race with. And yeah, I think she thinks it's what she deserves. You know, she certainly doesn't think she deserves any more than that. And I love the detail that you mentioned too, which is just, she's very good at this job too.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that was so interesting to watch her. Like, it wasn't just like, I'm going to literally phone it in and just find out. Everything has a follow-up question. She's engaged with what it is. She even goes to the factory floor to kind of see what they're working on with this. And then she winds up getting to the end of the day, and the cumulative end product of her entire day of work is one line at the bottom of this catalog.